I got to tell you, I really don't understand what the Democrats think that they're trying to prove here. I guess it's been a few weeks ago that their polling numbers hit like down to 23%. And I guess that was too high for them because I just checked again and now their polling numbers are down to 19%. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to prove by pulling these idiotic stunts. Case in point, this clown, Senator Padilla, a senator that nobody knows. Nobody's heard of this moron. Nobody knows who this guy is. From you passed him in the road, you would not know who this guy is. So what this clown decides to do is he's going to go to a press conference with Kristi Noem, and he decides he's going to charge the room demanding answers. He's demanding answers. So let's watch what this clown does and watch what happens. This is a beautiful thing.
Guys, ready? And balancing. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to
Hands up.
how many of our ICE agents have been docked for
See ya, girly man. You've just been ejected from the game. You know, you could have walked in there like a human being, like a civilized human being. You could have walked in there and said, hey, I want to talk to Kristi Noem. We have some questions. Now, come to find out that Kristi Noem did actually spend about 30 minutes or so talking to this moron after it all happened. But what's really going on here is this is just theater for Democrats. They have nothing. They have no platform. Everything they do is an absolute abject failure. Everything they do. They're leaderless. They are rudderless. When the most popular person in your party is AOC, then you've got problems. So you've got huge problems. And the thing that cracks me up about AOC, she's fight the oligarchy. Well, sweetheart, you are the oligarchy. Fight capitalism. AOC, you're 100% a capitalist. And I've said this before that, it leaked out that AOC was worth over $20 million and it got debunked by AOC. Nobody else debunked that except AOC. So, it must be true if AOC's debunking it. I mean, if I told you, something about me and then it leaked out and I said, whoa, it's not true, then everybody should instantly believe it because, I'm not going to cover myself, of course. And so AOC coming out and debunking that she's worth over $20 million is absolutely hilarious. But, she seems to live an awfully nice life living in an expensive, very expensive part of the world on $147,000 a year. So she seems to be doing very well for making only $147,000 a year. So, but with that being said, like I said, this is nothing but theater for Democrats. They have no road to travel down whatsoever. They are completely lost. They are out in the woods, cannot find the road, and they're literally standing right next to the road. This is the damnedest thing, and all it is theater for them because it gives them some type of weirdo ammunition to rally their unhinged, insane base. And let's be honest, the Democrat base is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Because one thing that you all did not want to hear, one thing you do not want to know is Gen Z. The largest part of Gen Z are conservative. That's right. They saw what happened in Trump's first term when they were still young. Then they saw the absolute disaster of Joe Biden. But that's not what caused the bulk of it. What caused the bulk of it was the lying from the Democrat Party and from the complicit media. That's what turned a lot of them to Republican because they were just now getting old enough, they're 17, 18, 19, 20, to where they're sitting there watching this guy fumble around, fall down everywhere, shaking hands with dead people. And then they turn on the news and then you have idiots like Morning Joe saying, no, this is the best Biden there is. He's sharp as a tack. This is a great Joe Biden. You have all of the DNC covering for him and they're like, hang on. I'm seeing this clown fall all over himself and act like a fool. Then I got these clowns over here telling me that that's not happening. Okay, well, they're liars. So a big part of Gen Z are the ones, actually, there are a lot of the help that put Donald Trump into the presidency, because a lot of them voted Republican because they saw what the Democrats were doing, how unhinged they are. And just, let's be honest, the DNC is nothing but a lying machine. I've said this before. The DNC is the collective and the Democrats are the Borg. And they're just waiting for instructions from the collective, because Democrats love to be led. They have no free thought of their own, none whatsoever. They are not independent thinkers, let's be honest. And they just love to be led. They love their little leashes around their necks, telling them what to do next, because that's exactly what Democrats do. They are the most unoriginal group of people I've ever seen in my life. And this is proof in the pudding right here. They have no idea what to do, so they're going to create a narrative, all right? They're going to get something that they can talk about, and then they can be outraged, because the Democrats are always outraged. Everything that they do causes them to be outraged. Well, let's get something straight, all right? These are the most unhinged, violent people on the planet, okay? Go look at all the riots that are going on, the peaceful protest. I just did a video about that, the peaceful protest. Go look at all the peaceful protests going on. That's happening right now in Portland, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. Take a blue city, throw a dart. Somebody somewhere is burning something down in that city. You don't see any MAGA people there doing that. Absolutely not. And remember when Donald Trump, when he was cheated out of the election? That's right. I said cheated. Cannot convince me otherwise. We didn't go down and start burning down cities and all that stuff. We weren't burning cop cars down and all that. And I don't want to hear January 6th. I don't want to hear it. I've seen the footage so many times. No cops were killed on January 6th. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. None. The only person that really got killed was Babbitt, who was shot by a coward Capitol police officer from another room. He shot her from another room. She's unarmed, leaning against the wall. He shoots her in a room full of dudes. He shoots the one woman standing in there. And I've seen the video of of them opening the door, showing them around, pointing things out. Oh yeah, terrible. Absolutely terrible. So much worse than the destruction of Portland, Oregon. So much worse. I agree. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Meanwhile, for an entire summer, Portland, Oregon burned to the ground. The inner city burned to the ground. And look what's going on in Los Angeles right now. And like I said, I don't see any MAGA over there. And when, we don't run around, when things go wrong on our side, we don't go around burning down cities and acting like complete fools like liberals do. But when liberals hit the absolute bottom, they go to the extremes, as in burning down cars, buildings, looting, destroying stuff. And the higher ups, the people in government, they do idiotic things like Padilla did. Charges into a room. He's got answers. I got questions. I need answers. I got questions. When you could have just walked in, sat down and said, hey, Miss Noem, I have a question. She'd have said, yeah, sure, what's up? But instead, you chose to play the idiot. And you go barging into a room because you knew they were going to throw you out, handcuff you, and arrest you, because that creates a narrative for the unhinged liberals. Case in point, watch this.
I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the hell went on.
If you could make Alex Padilla forcibly kneel before this executive, when does it stop?
Let's have an independent investigation. Senator Padilla was trying to do his job.
This is ridiculous. You have Chucky Schumer up there. I mean, come on. This guy should have been put out pasture years ago. And that's what makes him sick? Are you serious? That's what makes you sick. Not transgenders holding story times in public libraries for children. That doesn't make you sick. Or boys standing naked in female locker rooms. That doesn't make you sick. What makes you sick is an idiotic senator barging into a place where he should not have been, acting like a complete moron, and then getting arrested. That's what makes you sick. Not the people burning down Los Angeles. That doesn't make you sick. Or the millions of illegals coming over here killing American women, raping them, bashing in their heads when they're 12 years old with rocks. That doesn't make you sick. What makes you sick is moron Padilla acting like a complete fool, charging into a place he shouldn't have been, and getting manhandled. That's what makes you sick. Wow. Absolutely wow. That is amazing to me. Out of all the things you could have said, Chucky Schumer, that probably was not the best thing you could say. You could have said anything in the world besides, it makes me sick. When you let all these other things go by, things that are absolutely devastating, terrible, people dying, that doesn't seem to make you too sick at all. But this makes you sick. And that shows how weak of character you are, Chucky Schumer. Very, very weak. Then we have Miss Corey. You know, this clown steps up over there trying to, I don't even know what point he's trying to prove, standing on his soapbox like he's enraged. He's absolutely enraged that this happens. He's enraged. Well, you know what? If you weren't stupid, then you would have nothing to be enraged about. If Padilla was not a complete moron and pulled this stunt, you would have nothing to be enraged about. But, you know, what he did was ignorant. The consequences were justified. And you're going to get outraged about that? When you should be saying, well, you know, the guy screwed up. That is not how you go about it, especially being a senator. How about a little decorum? Maybe just a touch of professionalism. I know those are things that liberals just, liberats. Ooh, that's what I should start calling them, liberats. Instead of Democrats, liberats. I'm going to go with that, liberats. That's just something that the liberats simply don't understand, decorum. They have no idea what decorum is. And then you have Pocahontas, Senator Warren, she demanding an investigation. Okay, well, let's have an investigation into why your party's so unhinged, all right? Let's have an investigation on why you all are funding the riots. Oh, that's right, there is an investigation going on why you all are funding the riots. So, you know, you pick the weirdest hills to die on. And even Pocahontas, she should have simply said, you know what, hey, the guy was wrong. That's not how you handle a situation. You cannot run in there and charge Kristi Noem. I don't care who you are. You cannot do that because the result is going to be the exact same. But here's the difference. A Republican would not do that. Only Democrats do ignorant things like that. But they do it, like I said, it is theater. It gives them a narrative. And it lets these morons stand on their soapboxes, Pocahontas, Miss Cory Booker, and Chucky Schumer. Now they get to stand on their soapboxes demanding answers. We need answers as to why this senator was being manhandled. Why? Because he walked in acting like a moron. That's why. So I'll tell you what, Chucky Schumer and Pocahontas and Miss Cory Booker, have Padilla storm into my house demanding answers. And let's see how far that gets any of you all. Or actually, storm into any Republican's house demanding answers. Or better yet, why don't you all just man up? Get the balls. Why don't you storm into the Oval Office, storm into Donald Trump's office, and demand something? And let's see what happens then. Because chances are it's just not going to be arrested. That happens. You're going to walk out in a body cast if you do that. And let's just be, I mean, the fact is that Democrats are weak. They're weak. And this is what they do. They have no direction, like I said, completely rudderless. They are on a ship in the middle of the ocean going in a circle because they have no idea what port to go to because they're not welcome at any of them. Because as soon as they unload on that port, chaos and insanity ensues immediately. Because that's what follows Democrats around is chaos and insanity. And this is a prime example of the chaos and insanity right here. Prime example. He acts like an idiot, does something he shouldn't have done, and then the other idiot senators come to his aid, wanting an investigation. All right. Well, let's investigate why Padilla is so unhinged. Let's do that. But meanwhile, before I, wrap this up, why don't you all quit worrying about this? Why don't you start worrying about your states that are burning down and suffering, your citizens being killed? Why don't you quit protecting illegals and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on illegals? But you can't even take care of your own citizens. Don't you think that would be a better fight, a better hill to stand on? Because that's why you're polling so low, and that's why you're losing at every turn. And what do you all do? You keep fighting the insane, crazy fight. And I swear to God, I got a piece coming up. The last Democrat with a brain, believe it or not, much to my surprise, is John Fetterman. He seems to be the only one that has a lick of sense anymore. But here's the problem. Unless the people in his state get wise very fast, Fetterman's on his way out the door because the Democrat Party has been hijacked by the liberats. They're not a normal group of people. And they are the ones, email check. That's a lovely sound. And they are the ones that are destroying everything. And they've already destroyed the Democrat Party. They've completely destroyed it. And in my prediction, 5 to 10 years, there'll be no more Democrat Party. It will be the Liberal Party of China or something like that. Or as Trump likes to say, China. China. The Democrats are dead. The party's over. And if you ever get a chance to watch this John Fetterman, you might want to change to Republican pretty quick because those crazy liberals, they're going to oust you because it appears even after all your strokes and medical problems, it appears you're the only one left with a brain.